Hey YouTubers, I'm Jacob, and this is episode 4 of Dream Garage, transforming your garage from an ordinary garage to a professional looking shop. In this episode, we'll cover installing the epoxy floor system. We're using a Rust-Oleum system. There's a multi-part system to this on preparing the slab, patching it, installing the epoxy, and then doing a clear coat on top of it. So make sure you follow each of the steps to follow along. At the end, we'll also be installing some new baseboards on the walls to give it that clean finished look. And I've included the product links for all of these in the description below, so make sure to click on those and check them out. All right, let's get right into it.
Here's a list of materials and tools you will need to complete this project. Mix the cleaner and degreaser solution as directed on the container. I worked in 10 by 10 foot sections in the garage and made sure to rinse the areas I scrubbed to rinse any debris from the slab.
So I'm going to use this etch kit now. It's a similar process to using the cleaner and degreaser, except for you're going to mix this. I'm going to mix it in a bucket, and then I'll just pour it in sections and work through it and rinse it off as I go. But this is a little more chemically intrusive than doing the degreaser, so I would recommend using eye protection, and I'm going to wear a respirator mask and some gloves as well, just in case. Doing the etch is a very important step for preparing your garage floor surface for the epoxy. Reason being, it will rough up the surface and make it a little rougher to allow the epoxy to bond to it. Otherwise, having this smooth garage surface, it'll be too smooth for the epoxy to bond and it'll end up flaking off over time. So if you want to make sure that it's a really good bond, the etch is a very important step in preparing the slab. You're busy.
Yeah.
It's important to scrub the entire slab that will be epoxied, even the front edge where the slab turns down at the garage door opening. This way the epoxy won't flake off over time when pulling vehicles in and out. When done scrubbing the entire garage, make sure to rinse the entire slab off 3 times and then squeegee it dry.
All right, I finished up the acid etch. Next up, I'm going to prep the slab using a scraper and a wire brush, just to get everything out of the holes, and then we'll patch it up.
I used a small broom and dustpan for removing material during cleanup. I found that using my Z-Man creeper made moving around the garage much easier on my back and knees as I cleaned and prepped the garage slab. This is also a good time to cut any expanding foam out where the walls and slab meet to be ready to epoxy all the way to the wall.
Now that I've finished preparing the slab and doing the etch and everything, I'm finally ready to do the patching of any of the chips and cracks that's in the slab. That way it doesn't contrast through with the epoxy paint. That way it looks like a perfect continuous floor. Some of these, like the cracks in the corner, I noticed look a little wet. So I'm just gonna start where I can see the spots are dry and just keep working my way around the slab.
I ran several fans and dehumidifiers in the garage to make sure I wasn't encapsulating any moisture under the slab. If excess moisture is present, it's recommended to wait until it's dried out before applying the concrete patch. This patch is mixed 2 parts B and 1 part A solution on a piece of cardboard. Mix thoroughly before applying. You only have 30 minutes of working time with this stuff, so it's best to only mix what you need for that period of time.
Okay, now I've gone ahead and mixed up my epoxy. I want to show you the best way that I've done these cracks. That way you use least amount of epoxy and it doesn't turn out messy looking. Is I like to just get a little bit and distribute it a few places along the crack. And then I like to pull it along the crack and it just spreads it out nice and even. So I'll show you here. Spreads out perfectly. Just like that. So after months of preparation, painting, cleaning the slab, patching the slab, we're now finally ready to do the epoxy coat, which will totally transform our garage.
If you're using more than one kit for your garage, you'll need to mix all the Part B solutions together to maintain a consistent color across the garage because there may be some slight variation between batches. Our garage is right at 500 square feet and needs 2 kits to cover the area. You'll need a stir stick for this Part B solution. It's a little sticky at the bottom of the can. Once you have the Part B solutions mixed up, pour them back into the 1-gallon cans and seal up 1 can. Next, mix 1 kit, Part A and B solution in the bucket and mix up and let it sit as directed before applying to the floor. Apply the epoxy in 4x4 foot areas before tossing the ballast onto the epoxy. We found it's best to toss a handful up into the air over the area for a more consistent and random appearance.
Will you take this off?
Are you stuck?
Yeah, take it off.
Oh yeah. All right, so we've let our garage cure for the 4+ days, and it's turned out really, really nice. We're both really happy with how well this project's turned out. You can notice a little bit of imperfections on us getting used to throwing the ballast towards the back of the garage. But other than that, everything seems to have sealed up really well and hidden just about everything. There's only one crack that I can hardly see that's transferred through. But other than that, it's really held up well so far. I mean, we haven't really had any traffic on it, but our next step is I am about to sweep the garage out because it seems like there's maybe just a couple of loose pieces here and there. So I'm gonna get all that loose material up.
Mix the clear coat epoxy within the burst pouch as directed, then pour into a bucket before pouring into your roller tray. If you haven't added anti-skid to your color coat, I recommend using the provided anti-skid within this coat to prevent any slips and falls on a wet surface.
Yeah, you could have just poured it in there.
It can be difficult to see the clear coat epoxy when applying it. I found it best to place a work light low to the ground in order to see the glare off the clear epoxy and see where I've already rolled and if I had missed any spots. We tried keeping the garage closed as long as possible when applying our epoxy coats. This way we didn't have leaves, grass clippings, or bugs landing in our wet epoxy.
I'm really happy with the finished product of this Rust-Oleum epoxy floor system. Adding that clear gloss finish coat made a huge difference on the appearance of the floor, gives it that wet look, and should help preserve the epoxy from chipping and any of the flake from coming up over time. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was worth all the prep work and tough hot days this summer. Interested to see the longevity, let you guys know over time how long and how well it lasts. We did focus on whatever leftover epoxy we had to just keep applying a lot of that clear coat here at the front of the garage, because that tends to be an area that will wear down faster over time, being exposed to the sunlight, just having salty winter vehicles coming in and dripping off, stuff like that. You know, with the epoxy floor, we're finally done. Once you add the clear coat finish, you can't walk on it for 10 hours and you shouldn't drive on it for up to 3 days. So starting here Monday, we'll be able to drive on it. Today's the first day we've actually walked on it though. It's been probably 48 hours. And today I'm going to add some PVC baseboards to finish off the appearance of our garage. Since our garage walls come all the way down to the concrete floor, I wanted something that water resistant and protected so that if I want to like hose the garage off for any reason, it should be somewhat protected. I would want to seal along that bottom edge though, to prevent any water intrusion soaking up moisture behind those walls, which is not good. A lot of garages nowadays, you'll have a concrete pedestal. It'll turn up that the wall sits on, so you don't really have that issue. But in our garage, it was built in the 90s and maybe some older garages as well, the wall will come all the way down to the concrete floor. So that's why we're going to finish it off with a nice PVC baseboard today. And this will be the final step of our garage before we maybe add some like cabinetry and stuff, but we will finally be able to at least park in here and utilize our space, which I am super excited about because this project has taken quite a bit more time than I anticipated. I think around like a little over 3-4 months now since start to finish. So it does take quite a bit of time. It's really fun doing this project, and makes me really happy about the space that I'll be able to wrench in now and show off to my friends and stuff. And it's a perfect stable for our new Bronco. All right, so let's knock some baseboards out.
Well, after about 4 hours of hard work, we got all the baseboards done and really happy to have those installed. The last finishing touch will just be caulking in around the tops, around all the joints, and possibly around the bases of them to give it a cleaner look and make it blend in. Also filling all the nail holes from the nail gun as well. But other than that, we are starting tomorrow, ready to start parking the vehicles in the garage finally. And I am super stoked to finally have our garage back. So we're gonna start moving in slowly, but got to do all the caulking and stuff before we start getting any cabinetry and stuff to fill the space up. It's a hot, humid one, but glad we got it done today. Looks really good. Way better with baseboards than without them, that's for dang sure.
Thank you for watching this 4th episode of Dream Garage, installing an incredible epoxy floor system and some baseboards, giving your garage that final finished look, giving it that professional Dream Garage reality that you've been dreaming of all along. I'm really happy with how this Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield professional product turned out. It gives it an amazing look in the garage. I'm really happy with it. It's totally transformed our space, and it's given us the perfect stable for our Bronco. I've included the product links that I've used in the description below, so make sure to click on those and check them out. I'm posting weekly videos, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel to follow along. Thanks for watching.